Two, three. Hey, Ida, how's it going?
Hi, doing well. How about you?
Good, good. Good to see you.
You
How
too
are
as
things?
well.
How have things been?
Going well. Things are slow, definitely in terms of like work and applying for jobs and stuff.
Hmm,
But it's going well. Trying to make the best of every single day, I would say.
that's
Yeah.
good. You're in Dubai now, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
How's that? How's the situation there?
It was intense at the beginning, then it got better, and then it got intense. It's kind of fluctuating, but everything is open now. The malls are open, the beaches are open. People are going back to work normally. At least people who still have their jobs. So yeah, yeah, everything is back to normal. The only thing is like you still need to wear the mask, you still need to wear the gloves. They still check your temperature as you're going in and out. So it's basically it's like it's so much better now than it was before. So it's basically good now for sure.
Okay, that's good. Here is kind of the same thing. Everywhere is open. They do require you to wear masks in certain areas,
Yeah,
but in general, the economy is kicking back in. The
yeah,
U.S. is like a lot worse right now, but
yeah.
it's good to hear. Did many people lose their jobs in Dubai or UAE as well?
Oh yeah, so many people, like so many companies actually had to close. Like so many consulting companies needed to shut down because they're kind of the small companies, and so they were like more kind of like a small like 20, 50 employees. Things got really bad that they actually had to shut down the whole company. So and they have other branches around the world too, and there were so many different companies that had to shut down, at least from what I've heard. And
Hmm.
it's especially, oh my God, like I know a person who's like a CEO of what do you call it, like hotels, and like the kind of devastation and the stress he's dealing with every single day, because not only is he getting affected from that, but he's needing to fire people from the work. And like imagine you needing to fire people, and that's their main source of income. So he would just leave and go back, and he was telling more about the experience of like how he goes back and he's just so depressed and anxious and worried, and like I mean what can he really do but that. So it's kind of a toll on the mental health as well. Like, it's a huge part of mental affecting her mental health for sure, I would say.
I definitely agree. I mean, it's very tough on both ends, being the
Yeah.
person who has to give that news, but also being the
Yes.
person who receives that news. That's very, very tough to handle. Now, talking
100%.
about
Did
mental
you
health.
go back to work yourself?
Sorry?
Did you go back to the office, or are you still working from home?
No, no, no. We're all still working from home.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
no one's back to work technically, obviously, except
Oh,
for businesses that are non or businesses that are essential, so they have to be there. Let's say
yeah.
like construction or retail, or you gotta be at the malls working, or restaurants, things like that.
Yeah.
So essential businesses, but the rest, I would say, working from home still. And
Okay.
at least how I foresee it, or the economy as well, everyone, I think it's going to be well into the end of 2020. Maybe everyone will go back to work 2021, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been following your content a lot this past few months, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I've known you for some time now, from
Yeah.
back in university days. I've seen
Yeah.
your growth and your trajectory,
Yeah.
on different platforms, LinkedIn, etc. Wanted to know more about that. How's that going? Uh, why did you even start that? Like, what triggered you to start that?
Yeah, 100%. I think I feel personally that once you go through a low point in your life,
Hmm.
you start to appreciate the small tiny things, and it's this idea of like wanting to have someone by your side telling you that things are going to be okay, and you're going to get by, and things are just going to work out. Just a process, and calm yourself down, just take it one step at a time. Like having that support back then would have helped me so much. So for me it's like, you know what, how can I do this? How can I help empower people? How can I tell them that what they're going through is okay, and this is part of life, it's part of growth, and to kind of be there and help them throughout whatever it is that they're going through, because everyone is going through something. It could be small, it could be big, but it's worrying this person. And that's kind of what I really want to do. It's like I want to be there to help people get out of what they're going through, because literally like just having the support, like literally just a mental support, and having a place where you just accepted the way you are can give you so much more freedom, and accepting that you're going through what you're going through is okay, and coming out of it more victorious, I would say. So that's kind of where it originated from, where when people do something good for you, and then you really, it's exactly what you needed, then you kind of say, you know what, this really does make an impact. So that's kind of how it started for me.
Interesting. And do you think, like, what sort of shape or form is this going to continue in? Are you thinking of expanding it in the form of, let's say, because I know you started a podcast as well, so is that going to be channeled through there? Are you planning on like writing a book? Are you planning on actually going further and becoming a coach in that area? How does that look like?
Yeah, so coaching, I've done a bit of that during like university and give and take. I'm still debating if coaching is a thing that I want to go into. But for me, for sure, like more of writing a book, more of continuing with the podcast. Those are kind of the main things that I want to be focused on now, because I truly feel that there's something that I really want to share, and I feel like this really added so much value to me as I was sort of growing, and it's more about this idea of consciousness and mindfulness, and kind of realizing that there's so much more to life than just the box that we've been taught to believe in, or the beliefs that we have in our mind that people taught us, or the society made us believe. Like there's so much more beyond that, and getting to understand that, understanding life at a deeper level made me want to, you know what, once you reach this point, it's like I want to share this with the world, because it really helped me.
Mhm.
And that's basically where I want to go with it, from in terms of podcasts, and in terms of like a book, or coming up with the content where, you know what, I want to leave an impact, I want to help people, basically. Yeah.
Well, that's really important because especially like with people our age right now, I feel like we're so
Yeah.
distracted with so many different uh, things
Yeah.
that sometimes we lose that touch with ourselves, and we're always with social media, with all this
Yeah.
enormous wave of information coming towards us. I'm like, oh my God, I really need to stop. I need to like slow
Yes.
down and look back inside, because
Yeah.
otherwise you're gonna lose yourself.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what? Even subconsciously, like subconsciously, things around you are influencing you. You know, when you watch like an ad or something, that's kind of playing in your subconscious mind. If you're, let's say, listening to or walking through social media, going through different platforms, from LinkedIn to Instagram to Facebook, whatever. You have so many platforms now, and your mind is like information, information, information. There's so much information,
Yeah.
and your mind is just trying to understand what's really going on, and it's too much all at once, and without you realizing, somehow, I don't know if you tried it, but sitting down on your phone and just scrolling through different platforms gets me really anxious sometimes, because like even though it's just I'm scrolling, I'm looking, but it's just overwhelming knowledge, or overwhelming of things. It's too much at once, that I leave my phone, I'm like, oh my god, I feel so much bad, like I feel worse than when I actually took my phone. So yeah, definitely working on limiting like the use of social media, not cutting it off, but kind of trying to understand it more, like have a better relationship with it,
Mhm.
because too much of it can really take a toll on you. That's what I realized, at least for me.
Yeah, no, it's interesting you say that. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and I texted him
Yeah,
2 days before, and he hadn't
yeah,
answered. So he called me 2 days later. I'm like,
yeah,
"How you doing, man? I just wanted to see like what's up. Haven't
yeah,
talked to you in some time." He said, "I'm actually practicing to not use my phone a lot, and so that's
yeah,
why I just like put everything aside and I put everything away. I needed a break."
yeah,
I thought that's really interesting. And for myself, like I
yeah,
deactivated Instagram like 6 months
yeah,
ago, just for a
yeah,
bit, just to figure out like how that feels to me, because I feel
yeah,
a lot better. Honestly, I only have
yeah,
Facebook right now.
yeah.
So
But what
definitely,
about it though? Like, what about it? Did it make you feel? Why did it make you feel better though?
it's because all I did on Instagram was consume. Obviously,
Yeah,
if you have a business, if you have a brand that you want to build, I had my personal page and I was just a consumer on there. I would scroll endlessly, you know,
yeah,
uh, hours and hours and look at other people, look at what they're doing. and I personally didn't find that I'm getting a lot of energy back. I'm just drained. I feel drained.
Yeah.
Always looking at, oh, let's see what other people are doing. Let's see what this person's doing, and consuming. So I decided
Yeah.
I deactivate it for a bit and see how I feel, maybe for a
Yeah.
month. But then that month extended to 2, 3, 4. Now it's been like 6, 7 months. I don't have it, and I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah. No, I actually loved what he said because you're only consuming. Yeah, I love it because it's so true. It's like you're only just taking in information, just consuming information, and then
Yeah,
what? Like it's too much. Yeah, 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you this because
Yeah.
obviously I see you posting a lot on LinkedIn, and I don't know if you post on other platforms, maybe Instagram. I don't have, but
Yeah.
I wanted to know, how do you differentiate yourself from the wave of people who are posting on LinkedIn as well? Because I do see a lot of people posting very similar content,
Yeah.
whether it's on inspiration, motivation, coaching, writing paragraphs or short like sentences. So how do you differentiate Aida from the rest of the people on LinkedIn? How are you building that like unique brand?
Yeah, honestly, for me, it's of course, eventually, like you can become like a brand or something. But for me, I don't look at it that way. It's for me, it's like I truly want to bring out this message that I really want to share. It's something that's
Mhm.
really honest and true to me. And
Yeah.
it's just, I want to show up as my honest, authentic version of me. I don't want to be copying this person because he was able to get followers because of that way of doing it. You can get inspired by people, yes, because they inspired you. For sure, there's nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
But for me, it's, I get inspired, but then you need to add your own touch. Not really that you think about your own touch, but just being your own self.
Mhm.
People really like that. Like just being okay with just showing up as you are. That's kind of how I would say
Okay.
works for me.
So through
Maybe it works, maybe it
authenticity.
doesn't, but that's how I do it basically.
Interesting. Okay. So
Yeah.
it's mostly through authenticity, right? So through being
Yeah.
yourself. Um,
Yes.
yeah. See, that's really important. What I've been I wouldn't say struggling with, but it's in the back of my mind trying to think about it. I produce content as well, but at some point I'm like, am I saying things that people already know, or am I creating something that's of unique value? Because obviously authenticity is very important, but at the same time, we all want to expand our platform. We all want to grow that base so that our message reaches more people. And
Yeah.
in doing so, I think it's really important that we build some sort of uniqueness to our content so that it stands out from the rest of the crowd. And that's why
Yeah.
I was curious to know how you do that.
How was your experience with that? Like, what did you feel worked for you? What didn't work? Was authenticity something that you felt you wanted to do? Did it work for you? What was your experience?
Yeah, I think the quality of the content that you produce is very important, but also I think that you need to find a niche or a gap to fill in order to have your voice be heard, right? So,
Yeah.
and obviously that starts with some very small sector that you're talking about, because obviously
Yeah.
for myself I started like posting blogs and content like
Yeah.
since 20, all about motivation, inspiration, etc., blogs, video, YouTube. But then at some point I took a step back. I realized, hey, what I'm producing, as as valid as it is, and as
Yeah.
let's say right as it is based on the things I read and I got inspired by, it's still not unique. My voice is going to be merged with the voice of thousands of other people who are really saying the same thing in a different way. So
Yeah.
I took a step back to see how I can add that value, and that's kind of the journey that I'm going through right now.
Okay, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Um, what if this was just for you to realize that maybe that's that's not the field that you really want to be into. Okay, yeah, motivation, inspiration is something that you do for your own personal time, but it's not the thing that you love so much. Like, it's not the thing that you think about all the time, or think I want to blog about, or I want to read when I'm free. Like, something that can help you think about it is like, okay, what do I really think about almost all of my time? Like, if I have nothing to worry about, it's just the thing that I'm thinking about. Or if I want to procrastinate, it's the thing that I'm thinking about. So maybe the inspiration field was not the path that you wanted to take. Maybe that's why you stopped in the middle. It doesn't mean that you're a person who does not commit to it, or it's just your content is not as good. But maybe it's because your true passion and enthusiasm about something is in a different field. That's kind of how I see it when you're explaining it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you kind of touch on different things to see what you're interested in, but obviously, this whole inspiration, motivation is not, at least from my perspective, is not really something that is a separate thing on its own that you pursue in order to like be that. I think
Yeah,
you become that by doing other things, and then other people will come to you and say, oh, this person is very successful, they seem very happy and satisfied with their lives, and they seem to be helping a lot of people. And ultimately, for me, you're right, it's not the inspiration or motivation. For me, it's adding value in my own way to other people. So helping other people see that they can also achieve what they want to achieve, and through their own way.
yeah,
So I don't want to go in harping at people saying you should do this and that. I'll say, or I'll ask questions. I'll show them what I did, but then allow them to find the inspiration in however they want to do it. So you're right in that sense. But content production is something that I'm very interested in general. Just
mhm,
producing content. And the moment that I freed myself from being able to look at it not in the sense that, oh, I want to see how many likes I get, but more in the sense that, oh, I just want to produce content, I liberated myself from that feeling. Because I used to run after likes. I used to run after, oh, let me feel good about myself by having more followers. Not like that anymore. You know what I mean? It's still important,
yeah,
but you know,
yeah. Yeah, I think it all starts like this. Like at the beginning, you're like you have this, you really know why you want to start it, and then as you start getting the likes, you really get engaged. Like, oh my god, I'm getting the likes, and you fall into this trap. And then you capture yourself. Okay, oh my god, that's not the main purpose. And then you remind yourself of why you actually started this whole thing, and then you kind of do posting again. And then it's I kind of really noticed the journey of going through different phases that you kind of go through as you're posting. Like it's a whole journey on its own, in my opinion. So it's exciting as well.
100%, 100%. What about you though? How do you see it? Obviously, growth is important for everyone, but what's your main source of, let's say, what's the incentive? Are you after that as well, or how do you see your growth? What's your metric to say, okay, now I know that I'm growing? Is it the number of likes? Is it followers? What is it exactly?
For me, honestly, what means the most to me is for sure like likes are good because it's showing that people do like your content. So it does show that your content is adding value, and I love that. And
Mhm.
I appreciate that because sometimes there's people who don't have the courage enough to do it because of other reasons that it could be, each person has their own reason, which I knew for sure. Um, because I used to get some messages where people would usually tell me that, you know what, I really love your content, but um, like I would want to send you a private message instead of just going and liking it. Like each one has their own way of telling me that something in my content inspired them or touched
Yeah.
their heart. So whether it's a like or a private message, it doesn't really matter to me as long as like I know that, you know what, today someone's day got better because they read this post, or today my post resonated with someone and made them feel that they're heard and it's okay to be feeling that way, or
Mhm.
it inspired them to think differently about something. So as long as that is being done to someone else, that's the main reason of why I want to be posting. I want to make sure that it's touching someone, it's touching someone's life. If I cannot really do it physically, now go and help someone, open the door for someone, smile at someone or whatever. any small thing, any kind of act of kindness is really so powerful, by the way. If I could do it through social media, if I could do it through posting such content, I mean, that means the world to me. And seeing other people happy and succeed and push through and change perspectives, I mean, how people see things differently times at times, that's something that means a lot to me, to be honest.
Interesting. Yeah, and that's really important for sure. Having, I mean, you get a wave of positive energy when you see that your content is actually helping people,
Yes,
which is really important. Um,
100%.
so what are your reading habits like? Like, do you read a lot as well?
Yeah, so I've been reading a lot. I've been reading a lot, like maybe during my university years, more than now. But you know what really happens is like because I'm really curious, like I'm really wanting to know more about life, understanding life at a deeper level. Like it's more than just getting a job. It's more than just making money. I mean, I want to really know how does it mean to live a purposeful life? What does it mean to live life so fully, so completely, where there's inner peace, like there's inner peace, and you're truly joyful, just being. Like that's that's what really made me want to learn and grow and look and search what's the meaning of life, basically. So that's when I kind of went into reading and was really like interested into reading different aspects and viewing things differently. Um, Now kind of I slowed down in terms of reading, not reading so much,
Mhm.
because sometimes you know what happens, over having too much information can be as draining as having no information. Like sometimes overload can be really hard because you know what, like I know this, I know this, now what, like now what do I do with that? And now it's more of understanding, you know what, I have this, how can I bring it out to the world? So it's, I find it's more of the balance of, yeah, you want to get into knowledge, yeah, you want to invest in programs and courses and educate yourself, but then to reach the point where you know when you start reading and it's like, I know this, I'm reading and I know this, you know, it's like, yes, you read it from different places. I'm like, you know what, now I want to you when you find the pattern in this topic is talked about, the same topic is explained in many different ways in many different books, but the same general idea is there. You're like, you know what, there's something behind that that's really true. So it's just, it's like a balance of learning, and at the same time it's, you want to also teach it in a way, or share it with the world. So sometimes having too much knowledge can be overwhelming, so it's a balance, I feel.
I
Yeah.
I definitely see eye to eye with you on that. I uh, I think that you become basically oversaturated at some point.
Yes.
You know, so many, because like let's say, like you said, myself, I've read so many self-development books. At some point you start seeing patterns and you're like, all right,
Yeah.
all of these things are really saying the same thing. I get it. Now it's time
Yeah.
to either go and apply it, do something with it,
Yeah.
add my own personal touch to it, or
Yeah.
yeah, like share it with the world, you know, do
Yeah.
something with it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. 100%.
I think that's
And
very important.
yeah.
And the more that I read, the more I realize maybe it's time to, like, obviously it's important to educate yourself constantly, but now it's time to like look inside as well, you know, like other forms of practices. Because let's say I used to read self-development books and now I'm more into, let me try and experiment with my own mind. You know, let me figure out like the effects of meditation on my own sense of, let's say, anxiety, effects of journaling, which by the way is
Yeah.
really good, on my own kind of like thought process or my own mental peace. How are these things affecting me as well, which I started getting into. Do you do that, by the way? Do you do meditation, journaling, things like that?
It depends. What do you mean by meditation, though? Like, do you actually, what is your definition of meditation?
So I literally open up Headspace and I sit down and do
Yeah.
guided meditations every morning.
And you mean in terms of just like not focusing on your thoughts and just being present in your body? How do you do
Yeah,
that?
so it's through scanning your body, through
Yeah.
labeling your thoughts, through focusing on your breath, anything. So the whole concept of meditation is basically to practice being in the present and
Yeah.
understanding that it's okay for your mind to wander away. You patiently bring it back. It wanders
Yes.
away, you bring it back. And it's this
Yeah.
constant back and forth until you've mastered, or maybe not mastered, but until you've become very good at living in the moment and living in the present, which I think
Yeah.
is everything. Is everything.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Honestly, like you said, you can read so many help books, like self-help books. You can read, but you know what? If change is not from within you,
Mm-hmm.
you're never gonna change. Like you can read it, but it can be read with a closed eye. Like you can actually be reading. Like people are obsessed with reading tens and thousands of books per year, and they've kind of like, oh, I kind of read 20 books in 1 month. Okay, that's too much, but I mean, yeah, like people are like, I did this, but I mean, at the end of the day, yes, you're reading this, but is this helping you? So, so I feel it's so there's different things. So, I got off topic there, but yeah,
No, no, it's
the
fine.
idea, the idea of kind of journaling is something that I find very helpful, and the idea of um, meditation, I think like the idea of sitting down and just listening to one thing and observing thoughts, it's not something that I do. I wouldn't say I do it, but I might eventually at one point try it, just give it a shot. But I think it's more of like experimenting with it in the moment. So it's observing your thoughts as you're going on through life. I feel that's kind of, if that's what you consider meditation, I mean that's kind of what goes on, or that's how I try to view it. Because you know what, it's like I want to capture myself in the moment, not when I'm just at peace and I'm calm. It's like now I'm getting triggered. Now it's a thought. But the thing about this is it's so tricky. It's sometimes you might fall into the trap of trusting your thoughts and you get into this subconscious mind. But
Mhm.
the key here is to bring your awareness back to the thought and just become more observant of the thought than just actually getting engaged in the thought itself. I don't know if this makes sense.
This makes
Um,
100% sense. And
okay.
that's also one sort of meditation, because when you're in the heat of the moment, someone
Yeah.
says something or something happens, and like you said, you get triggered. Then if you have the ability to take a step back in that moment
Yeah.
and observe
Yeah.
what's happening before you react to it, then you're not really reacting to it. You're responding to the situation, which is
Exactly.
very important. That's
100%.
interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
I
Uh,
have a question for you though.
yeah.
How did journaling help you? In
Um,
what sense?
so I've always been into writing, but
Yeah.
I recently started journaling, like maybe 2, 3 months ago. And the way that I see it is, when I put the pen to the pad, it's like I'm consulting with something like my higher self. And I'm
Yeah.
surprised as to how much words come out when I start writing, my thoughts. And it might seem a little artificial in the beginning, but I'm like, all right, let's talk about today. How was today? And then I start
Yeah.
talking to myself. Oh, this is what happened. This is what happened. Here's where I could have, done better, or this is something that was on my mind. And it just keeps, it's like a tree, and it extends in different branches. And then those
Yeah.
branches have different branches themselves. And it just continues, and
Yeah.
you get interesting insights out of it. Like,
Yeah.
for example, one thing that I was writing down and I figured is, self-confidence is not really what we should be going after. Self-confidence is not really the root of what we're looking for. I think that clarity is the root of self-confidence, because when you're clear about something, when you understand something and you have no clouds in your way, in your thought, then you're confident about it. So if one wants to be confident, then it's important that they're clear about that specific topic or area or whatever it is. That's something that came to my mind.
100%. So I don't know if you noticed on my um, my LinkedIn bio, but I have something called the Truth Seeker. Truth Seeker,
Yep.
and for me, that's what I came to realize. Because same here, journaling is something that I like. I'm a huge fan of journaling, and it's something I really would recommend 100% everyone to do it. So there's two things. So definitely journaling and 100% like spirituality. Spirituality is like a whole um played a huge part in my own personal growth journey. That's the growth journey is a never ending one, by the way, just saying, but something that really helped me so much into really knowing the truth of who we are as human beings, and understand like really like you said, like when you really know the truth, or when you really know, when you have clarity of something, that's when you start building your belief system about it, and it's based on the truth. And it's when it's based on like what is true, then it's easier for you to be self-confident. Why? Because you're coming from the authentic version of yourself. It's not a belief system that you had, but it is the truth. And like what I mean is, like, we could be having this conversation and I could have told you something, and then you tell me something. But what happens sometimes is, okay, this is a basic example, but like something that's very important is, let's say I said the answer is A, and then at some other point you're like, no, 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 you said the answer is B, and you're trying to fix me and tell me, no, 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 you know what, you're mistaken, the answer is B. You start making me, let's say, feel that, you know what, maybe I've forgotten, maybe there's something wrong, maybe you kind of make me feel that I have
And still doubting.
forgotten.
Yeah.
It's doubting myself, right? But once you start to listen to other people who start doubting you, you forget that the truth was A. You know what I mean? So when you go back and deconstruct all those things and realize that, you know what, A was the truth, then you stay grounded in that, and you know that, you know what, this is the right way. Now I have more confidence. Now I'm really confident in my choice and my decision, and I want to go with that. So I found that, like you said, 100% clarity and the truth. And it's kind of subjective, because you see, you hear people saying the truth, they're like, everyone has their own definition of truth. And that I don't know, like I haven't experimented with that so much, but I feel like that's my truth, at least for now. And it's the truth of what's happening in the present moment. I mean, that's how I see it. Like, what is really happening now, that's the truth for me.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean,
Well,
what do you mean by truth for you?
I see where you're coming from, and I mean,
Yeah,
I see eye to eye with you on that. It's that I think truth has two forms, and again, this is
yeah,
just me thinking out loud. But there is
yeah,
subjective truth and there's the objective truth, the universal truth. Subjective truth would
yeah,
come from where you were raised, your environment, how you were raised, and who you really are as a person. So really, nature and nurture. So your nature basically is, the combination or compilation of your genes, your DNA, what was passed down to you from your previous ancestors and generation. And then your nurture
yeah,
would be the way that you were raised, your parents, your family, the environment, the school, your friends. And that altogether embodies what your truth is, your subjective truth is. And if you don't live
uh-huh.
in line with that, or if you're not aligned with that truth, then eventually you're going to become very neurotic, because it's like you're living in two different you're living as two different people. One person is when you're with your family and friends. Another person is who you show yourself in public. And basically, that's when you're not living your truth,
Yeah,
because this and this are not aligned. So I think that's the subjective truth. And then there's the universal truth, which I think everyone kind of understands: good, bad, evil,
yeah,
whatever. Those things are
yeah,
are are more universal. So that's what I think.
yeah, yeah. That's where I have my question for you. You know what? For me, when I see it, when I see the truth, I don't really I wouldn't say like nothing to do with the family, nothing to do with the friends, nothing to do with the community. But I mean, when I'm really looking for the truth, for me, I think it's bigger than just that. It's bigger than what you're taught by your family. And it's when you slowly kind of deconstruct the belief systems that you had, maybe that you got from your family, from your friends, from your experiences that you had, to go back to the truth, the core, which I personally believe is a universal truth, or like um, I don't know what it is, but the universal truth of more of like, it's like when you understand kindness, like that's who we really are. Joy is something that we really are. Peace is something that we really are. But somehow we deviated away from that because of belief systems that were entitled or were enforced on us. to make us behave a certain way, right? It's like we know that jealousy is not a good thing, but somehow you see people who are still envious, you see people who are still jealous, right? It's just because we got deviated away from the truth where we are whole and complete as human beings. I am my own unique self. You are your own unique self. And that is the truth. And once you deviate away from the truth, that's when envy starts to happen. That's when jealousy starts to happen, when hatred starts to happen, all those little tiny things. So, like, I wouldn't say being what the truth is what your family tells you or what society tells you, but for me, it's the universal truth that really matters the most.
Mhm.
And that's kind of how I see it, to live your life so fully and completely. That's kind of, at least that's how I see it.
No, and I see where you're coming from. It's definitely not what your family or your friends tell you. So if I can deconstruct what you said, well, you are programmed in a certain way when you're raised in your family community environment, you know. And you're right, subconsciously there are some things that are going to be not so good or beneficial for
Yeah,
you and the rest of the world. So it's time to cut those programs, cut those loops, throw them out and
yes,
reprogram
yes,
yourself. And I definitely see that. At the same time, so that's important, but at the same time, it's I think there's this important fact, or there's this important element where
yeah,
you're also a product of a lot of other things. Yes, you can be yourself. You It's definitely worth going towards that journey to understand your truth. But um,
yeah,
you are gonna also be a product of your environment and your surroundings. So it's best that you understand that and integrate it within yourself in such a way that it's not really harming you. At least you're conscious of it. So you're like, oh, interesting. I just thought that way. Oh, okay, that's why. Because this is how it happened. This was my journey of being raised in this place, this way. So you're aware of it, and then maybe
yeah,
eventually, hopefully, you're gonna take all of those and deconstruct them and
yeah,
reprogram yourself in the way that you're aligned to, or you think, right?
yeah,
um,
yeah.
that's yeah, no, I see where you're coming from. um,
Yeah, I think we're talking about the same thing, right? Like this is what
no,
I felt like.
of
Yeah,
course we're talking about the same thing. Kindness, joy, all of these things are something that obviously is within everyone, but not
yes,
everyone finds that. Because
yeah,
if you look back, there's so many terrible things that have happened in history with people, whatever.
yeah,
um, it's because people act out of fear. When you act out of fear, that's that's definitely not going to bring about a good result. So
yeah.
I think that's also important to realize.
And you know what as well? Like even if you're coming out from a place of love, sometimes that can be harmful. Like sometimes when you love someone so much that your love becomes an obsession and an overprotectiveness, that can be very toxic as well. So
Obsession, yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's weird because it's like everyone desires love, everyone wants to be loved, yet at the same time you've noticed behaviors or the way people act, which were rooted from a good place, which is love, but shown in a different or a negative way. So it's very interesting how people react and respond based on a certain emotion, which was really their true intention was a good intention. And I feel everyone starts with a good intention, right? Like everything starts with a good intention, but sometimes communicated or misrepresented out in the world. So yeah,
yeah. I mean, I don't think everything starts with a good
yeah,
intention, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, 100%.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like um, it can start with a good intention, and then over
yeah,
time, like you said, turn into an obsession. And yeah, there's a big difference between love and obsession, by the way. But so full circle, coming back, I think that journaling
yeah,
is very important. I think that it's something that has helped me a lot. And you said that you do it, so that's interesting. And well, I would say that I've been following your journey, and I think that you should continue to do what you're doing and think about how you can add more of a brand around this, so that your Ida, people go and listen to Ida for for her and her content. Like
Yeah.
it's her unique style.
Yeah. Thank you so much. What do you think makes it unique though? That's interesting to see.
Well, right now I'm seeing you go through that journey. I'm not saying that it is or isn't unique. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that the consistency and the passion that you have for that is very good, and it's the fuel behind what you do. It definitely serves as a fuel, and I think that the more that you grow, you know, you're going to get wiser, you're going to have different perspectives, and over time you're going to sprinkle all over, you're going to sprinkle your own touch to it, and eventually like make it the the thing that people will go to in order to, you know,
Yeah.
hopefully it's that way, you know, hopefully
Yeah.
it's going to go towards that place, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day there's so many like people who post content that I think it's important
Yeah.
we all have this personal brand or personal touch
Yeah.
in mind when we're producing, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. But you know what else? Something what I really realized, and I wrote a post about it earlier, which is sometimes when as you keep on posting, it's something that I really realized. So as I told you before, it's gonna be a journey of like first time it's like you're obsessed with the likes. There's different
Of
phases,
course,
and I
yeah,
think
yeah.
one phase was more about you start creating content where in the back of your mind you're like, oh my god, are they gonna like it or not? You reach a point, you're gonna have this kind of debate, and then you remind yourself again, you know what, it's not about me thinking about if they're gonna like it or not. But it's like, yeah, I want to bring out content that is adding value, and I know that what I'm doing is gonna be adding value. But when you start obsessing over, are they gonna like it? Am I gonna get the likes? Is it something that they want to hear? Then you slowly start to realize that, you know what, I no longer feel like I want to post. I no longer want to feel I want to do it. It's because there's a part of you that you lost in this image that you're trying to portray. So I just want you to realize, like, if you ever come across this, just be aware of that and just
Yeah,
remind yourself
yeah.
again. Yeah,
Yeah, 100%. I've been there. I've been there.
yeah,
You need to you need to forget about that piece. You need to do it for
yeah,
the love of doing it, and then this will come, like the likes, the
yeah,
follow, and whatever.
yeah,
So definitely don't build your sense of incentive or your reward
yeah,
system on the likes. Definitely.
yeah.
Um, well, Ida, we've been on for I think like 40, 45 minutes, something like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I really want to thank you for joining though. And do you have any closing things you want to say or talk about?
um I think the only thing is just I want people to really understand that there's so much power within each and every one of us, and it's just like tapping into your uniqueness that can really let you to live your life so fully and so authentically that people will start coming to you so naturally. Like you attract the right group of people to you, just being you. So that's kind of like I'd love to leave it with that. Just be you, basically. Yeah.
Well, that's no, that's very important. I'll continue to watch your growth and your journey, and we'll
Thank
definitely
you.
chat again. Thanks
Yeah,
again
for
for
sure.
joining.
Yeah, my pleasure. It was nice talking to you as well.
Yeah, you too. Take care.